Boys, today we're gonna have a spicy one that hasn't really been done on Twitch or on YouTube, which I have at least seen, which is how much does your favorite content creator actually work? Not make money, as most people are interested in, actually the working part. So how much exactly do you have to do, or how much do I do in my case, in order to do all the things I do right now, which is Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, emails, the whole drill, the whole scenario, the entire thing. So we're gonna look at all those right now. All right, so now I'm in the sheet right here, and I made it 3 different categories, which is one a visual chart, the other one is a skill set. The skill set is basically which skills would you have to learn and pick up in itself to do the same things that I do, or which skills have I picked up and learned. And the other thing is just summary and notes, so like question answers, just summary overall of everything. So let's get right into it. We have a couple of social medias right here, which is YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, email, sponsorship, brand deals, and brainstorming, which is basically all the activities that I got into and that I had to think about during the process. Not everything right here is a social media, as you can see. Brainstorming isn't really a social media. Email is debatable, but sponsorship and brand deals aren't either. They're mostly just things that come with that. They come with social media ad on top of it. If you make YouTube or Twitch, you have to brainstorm, obviously. If you want to get anything done, you probably have to talk to people via email. If you get sponsorships like I did back in the past, these last couple of months and years, you also obviously have to deal with those things. So yeah, we have written down activities, and then we're going to talk about how many hours per day it is for me, and this is my own personal perspective. You can take this for other content creators as well to have a rough draft of what like your average person who is in this field works as, so people who do like YouTube and Twitch together and a bunch of other things. But yeah, this is like my average things. Let's get right into it. The first one, social media, being YouTube, and I also think it's the most important one, and it also has the most work. YouTube in itself is one that takes probably the most effort out of my day, and also probably the most time out of my day in general. So certain activities that you do for YouTube would be script writing, editing, thumbnail creation, SEO, market research, recording, and answering comments. A bunch of other stuff too, but like that's like rather small stuff. I don't really think I should include like the super small things that don't really take that much, like making a community post on YouTube saying that a new video is out or something like that. I left that one out, but this heavily depends on what video I'm making, but usually even if I'm making a video, I do want to be prepared. So I would have to script write. For things like, for example, the Mac guides that I did, I completely had to script write the entire video from A to B, and then I had to edit it, I had to get B-roll, I had to get a bunch of stuff. Now I don't do this anymore. I don't do like these super high quality, like high effort videos that take like 12 hours to make, 16 hours to make. Don't do those anymore. But script writing is still a thing that comes into it. Editing is also a thing that comes into it, which is just like basic video editing, so putting in effects, cutting down the footage, cutting down boring segments, cutting away boring segments, a bunch of other stuff. Thumbnail creation, yeah, this one speaks for itself, just making a thumbnail in Photoshop. This can take from 5 minutes up to like several hours, depending on how efficient you want to make it and also how much of a blockage you have in making the thumbnail. Like finding the right thumbnail, honestly, in my opinion, takes longer than creating the actual thumbnail. For me, if I think of a title and a thumbnail for a video, it usually takes me about half an hour to an hour to find like the perfect thing, quote unquote. Sometimes it goes faster, sometimes it goes slower. That's like the roundabout how I would say it. SEO is search engine optimization, which is basically if you make search related content, as in like the guides or whatnot, or anything that is like you want it to be searched on YouTube, you have to do search engine optimization, which is optimizing it for YouTube so it gets pushed out so you're at the front page of a certain search term or certain search terms. It doesn't necessarily have to be one, it can be several. The other one is market research, which is understanding like which market you're getting into and which games you have to get into. My biggest example of that and my biggest success of market research, for example, is Animal Crossing. I knew Animal Crossing was going to be very popular, and the music you hear in the background is also Animal Crossing. So at the time I knew the game was going to be popular, so I made videos on it because there was a niche market for people who have time traveled. So time traveling was something that's usually forbidden in the realm of Animal Crossing. Me being the guy I am, not giving a fuck about it, I did it, finished my entire world within 5 days, uploaded a video, guess what happened? 90,000 views, almost at 100k views now pushed out. A bunch of other Animal Crossing videos are also doing extremely well, which are all in the thousands of views area, like 50k, 60k, 120k right now. I think 130 on my biggest one, which is like how to find other islands or how to go online in Animal Crossing. So Market research counts as that, in my opinion. I think that counts as market research, which you have to do. It is not something that you have to do often, especially if you're niching down on a topic a lot, where you already have a topic that like fits. But me being a variety content creator now, I always have to do market research and see if something is worth my time or not. Recording, yeah, just basically recording. Just also what I do on Twitch right here. This is basically a recording, if you think about it, which just is like for me to elaborate and have a live audience while I record for YouTube. Answering comments, etc. This one is self-explanatory, just answering comments in the YouTube comment section, getting back to people if they need something from me. Stuff like that. Doesn't really take the world. I maybe take like 10 minutes out of my day to do that. Maybe like 5. So, to answer the question, how many hours per day? I would say it varies. It heavily varies on the video I want to do and what I want to do in general. But overall, I would say I spend around 3 to 4 hours per day at the very least doing YouTube. So, this is like the low ball. I'm gonna keep it as low ball as I can. So we're going to say, let's say I take around about 4 hours a day doing YouTube. This is making videos, this is thumbnails, titles, edits. This doesn't even include my second channel, which is the clips channel. This just literally just includes my main channel. So this is 4 hours per day. And if you want to do it per week, you just pretty much have to do 4 by 7, which we're gonna do in a little bit. We're gonna add all these up per week after we're done here. Next thing is Twitch. So the thing you're on right now, Twitch. And Twitch in itself is also, I would say, a little work in itself. The cliche number 1, which is playing games, obviously. You play games with your audience, and you basically quote-unquote record footage for YouTube, which is like, it goes into the YouTube section for me personally. But playing games, being entertaining, you have to be entertaining when you're streaming, otherwise nobody will watch you. Either that or you have a little skill, which is also another form of entertainment. So being entertainment for me is a roundabout term of being funny, being a personality, playing a game well. All of like it comes like a whole package basically. Then organizing stream related events. This is for example for the Among Us streams that I did. So organizing collabs, organizing contests, organizing different types of content I want to make. Just for my own videos I have to organize them, I have to write them down. For this video right here that I'm doing, I for example had to make this entire Excel sheet, and I prepared this before on stream for like the last 2 hours what I did. So I prepared those, had the ideas in mind, and then acted on it. So playing games, being entertaining, organizing stream related events, contests, etc. I stream 3 hours every single day, and if you count in the organizing stream related events and collaborations and a bunch of other things in preparation, you're round about also sitting at about 4 hours per day. Then we have TikTok. It's TikTok time on that one. TikTok in itself is not really a platform that needs to be done that much on, because it's very, very simple. The only thing you really have to do as activities that I have to do is look at trends, creating TikToks and editing. Now, I do have an editor for this, but let's say hypothetically, I wouldn't have one. How much work would I have to invest in that? Which would also be around about an hour or 2. Just like 1 hour. If I wouldn't have editors for this one right here for the YouTube section, myself, I would probably invest around about 6 to 7 hours. So I do have editors. I have 3 editors actually, who do a bunch of shit for me. One that handles my clips channel, another one handles storytime content, and my main channel, Uploads, the stream highlights. And then there's me as well, who does things like these, where I edit those. But yeah, if we edit those up as well, so without my editors, I would be at around about like 8 hours a day. I'll be around about editing like high quality videos that I wanted to push out daily, like 8 hours, just to push out like the general content that I do. Next thing is Twitter. Twitter, everybody. Yeah, honestly, Twitter is not really a lot of activities that I found. The only thing you really do is you're funny, you interact with others, and you answer DMs. Honestly, the thing that takes up the most time is being funny. Like, to be honest, just coming up with a meme or something, or just trying to be entertaining on Twitter, really doesn't, really takes a lot. For me, I don't spend any time on Twitter at all. So, because I quit Twitter like the last couple days ago. Beforehand, I would spend like around about like an hour on Twitter, just casually here and there. But right now for me, it's 0. The same thing goes for Instagram, because I don't spend time on Instagram at all. The average content creator will probably spend like a couple hours a week on that, just because of posting pictures and whatnot. Yeah, so let's push that out. Taking pictures, editing, answering DMs. Answering DMs obviously varies of how big you are and how many DMs you want to reply to. It literally depends. For me, I don't really get a lot of DMs on Twitter nowadays. The same with Instagram. People don't really want to talk to me. Back in the day when I was a bit more active and a bit more funny, people want to interact with me on a daily basis. I got around about 5 to 10 DMs every single day from different people. So, which means not 5 to 10 single messages, that it would be a little bit low. It's more like 5 to 10 people a day, which are different people, would message me for certain things. Either it be sending me funny memes, or asking me for a business opportunity, or anything of the sorts. Okay, next thing is Discord. This one honestly doesn't really take even an hour. I'm just gonna say this one takes like around about 30 minutes basically, for me at least. Actually, I will give it an hour. It's basically communicating with your audience, so my Discord server, and answering DMs. Answering DMs is just something you have to do every single day. Every time I wake up, I answer my DMs and go for everything. At the end of the day, I think it sums up to like 5 minutes every couple of hours, so it ends up to like an hour probably. So then we have emails, checking emails and answering them. This is basically just for, again, it's basically the same thing as like answering DMs right here. Also not really something I invest much time with, so it's going to be 0.5 hours. So like 30 minutes, maybe a day, maybe even less. I'm just gonna round it up to 30 minutes now. But then we have some things that are not really talked about as much, as a sponsorship and brand deals. And these are more things that happen occasionally, but the one thing you have to think about when about those, these are very, very specific cases. So I've gotten more brand deals than sponsorships. I've not really gotten them at all sponsorships itself. I had opportunities for sponsorships, but I didn't really accept them. So I can't really talk too much on that in detail, but setting up sponsorships as in a sponsorship with a company who wants to sponsor you for a certain event, going to a certain event, or an esports organization wanting to hit you up to be on their team, either as a professional player or as a content creator. This is also something that comes with itself. The only activity you have to really do that, if you do it, is making deals, as in like compromising to something etc, and like all the gist of it that comes with it, which is just, you know, talking it out, being in a call with the manager or the management team rather said, or the CEO, depending on, you know, how big the industry is or how big the sponsor opportunity is, and also what their marketing team is like. So setting up sponsorship and making deals etc, this one really does not take much out of my time, basically 0 hours, because right now I don't get any sponsorship opportunities whatsoever. And yeah. So, brand deals, setting up specific brand deals, merchandise, games, etc, deadlines need to be met. So, for merchandise, games, etc, I mean things like Raid Shadow Legends, or for example, the things that I had from Animal Crossing, which is Easy NPC, who sold bells, items, and like a bunch of other stuff for Animal Crossing gadgets, right? So, setting that up also doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. So, for me personally, I do not invest any time currently in that. I have not gotten any sponsorship opportunity in the last months. To my knowledge, I haven't really received anything, unless I'm blind to it, but I haven't received anything. The only thing that you need to know when it comes to brand deals, a deadline needs to be met, which means in the contract they will give you a certain time frame where it's like they will compromise and they will look and they'll be like, hey, so you average around these many viewers, we will give you this amount of money for one promotion, one 30-second ad. Here's the script if they want to give you a script. If not, they also will just tell you, just do whatever the fuck you want as long as it is a positive review on the product. So the only thing they will tell you afterwards is in the contract they will give you a deadline and tell you, hey, you have until, we right now have the 14th of April, I don't know when this video comes out, you have till the 16th of April 2021 to put up a video which is featuring our brand deal. So this could be, again, very, very, very brands that you already know if you watch YouTube just even a little bit for favorite creators. NordVPN, Raid Shadow Legends, cool shirts, one finger cold ones, right? Also, this heavily varies from brand to brand, and the price also varies from brand to brand, which I will not talk about because that could ruin my relationship with brands, or I could make a lot less money than I should. And the last thing we have right here, which is brainstorming. So brainstorming is honestly a big part of my day, especially now where I still have to come up with ideas daily because I do variety content. So brainstorming for me takes up to several hours a day. That is pretty much all I do right now, besides YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all the other stuff above, which is coming up with ideas and thinking of new innovative content. And my favorite, the yoink and twist. If you don't know what the yoink and twist is, basically you take a piece of content that you think is good and you twist it in your own way. So basically you steal ideas. I think a solid, honestly, this is not even a joke, 3 to 4 hours go into this. Maybe I'm gonna say like, yeah, three hours. Let's be nice about this. 3 hours go into me brainstorming every single day and coming up with shit, especially right now. So let's add up to how many hours that would be per week. And then per week, that would be 13.5 times 7, which would end up to a sum total of 94 hours, 94.5 hours per week. And this includes like me already having editors. Because if I would include editors as well, I would roundabout end up at roughly 17 hours per day, 16.5 hours per day, maybe like 17 and a half hours per day, just because I have to do YouTube for like 8 hours. I do have editors which take off a bunch of my work, but overall this is what I'm looking at. So my sum total per day is 13 and a half hours. and my sum total per week is 94.5. And this is only my content shit. This doesn't even include other things, as in real life activities, as in eating, sleeping, martial arts, working out, a bunch of other stuff, you know, that all comes with it. So yeah, these are around about my hours per day. And now let's look at something more interesting, which is now that you have all this data, let's look at a skill set. The skill sets that you need to have is a single creator, so without editors, without any further help, without any further advice, that you would need in order to be doing the same thing that I do, or basically have the skill set necessary. So I have it written down and categorized in every single social media brand that I came up with, which is the one, all of them you saw right there. So let's get into the skill set. So we have YouTube right here, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, email, sponsorship, brand deals, brainstorming, and general skills. I think general skills is very nice to add because it adds in which general skill set should you have to add to that. So let me get right into it. Let's start with YouTube. So with YouTube right here, I have written down the following things, which is you need to have knowledge in Photoshop, otherwise you can't make thumbnails, or any graphic design at all. You know, you can say you can use GIMP, you can use other things. It's not necessarily Photoshop. I just feel like Photoshop is the one thing that I use and it's the most convenient. Editing, which is editing in itself, as in having Sony Vegas knowledge, Adobe Premiere knowledge, or a bunch of other things in itself. There comes a bunch of stuff added to that. With those things in mind, you have to learn like how to like edit, and to like a reasonable degree, where you keep people occupied and you want them to watch on a permanent basis. You also have to put in a bunch of other things, as in sound effects, animations, but those are things you can get for free. Those aren't really skills you need to learn, those are just things you can pick up. SEO, again, search engine optimization, which is basically optimizing your YouTube video for the search engine in order to be pushed out perfectly or to the right audience. Market research, already mentioned that beforehand. It is just basically looking at the things that you currently have with applications like vidIQ and TubeBuddy. If you don't know what they are, they're basically YouTube applications which help you make market search a lot easier, as well as also keyword search. So they basically help you with SEO optimization and market research. You still have to learn these things, don't get me wrong, but they help. They're an addition to it. Let's go over the next thing, which is Twitch. On Twitch, you gotta have communicative skills, so like right now that I'm talking the entire time without having an audience, or rather said, without looking at my chat. I am just talking off of the top of my head and just doing this right now. This is a skill that you need to master in order to, you know, talk to your audience, even if they don't want to talk with you every single time. Or just in general, just talk a lot in order to keep being entertaining. Skill, this is a question mark because I don't really think it is a necessary skill, but I think it adds to it. So, you know, like, I think it counts as like a value of entertainment. I think this can be categorized as entertainment, where it just comes with it. Where some people just watch you because of your skill. It is just how it is. If you're a world record holder in speedrunning, some people will only watch you because of your skill. Or other things, where it's like, some people will only watch you because of your personality. They don't really care if you're good at Minecraft or not. They don't give a fuck. I do believe, though, skill adds a very significant portion to it, because it can help out and elaborate your further, like, you know, skill, because you don't want to watch somebody who fails 24/7 unless you're into that type of shit. I personally am not, and I think I like to watch somebody who's entertaining and at least has a decent skill in the game, so it's watchable. Not being able to be watchable at all during a game is horrible, so you don't want that. And the last thing is entertainment, which is, you know, even though you can talk, or even though you have the skill, you might not be entertaining at all because your stream might be boring. You know, there's another thing that I would add as well, which is graphic design. In order to set up your streaming overlay, your alerts, your animation, you would have to, you know, do some sort of animation, some sort of graphic design. Of course, you can get yourself people to commission for that, for emotes, sub badges, a bunch of stuff, things like I have done. I still do think graphic design is another thing that comes into it, which is another part of Photoshop. So this right here is basically co-linked, Photoshop and graphic design knowledge. So yeah, the next thing would be TikTok. TikTok isn't really something that you need a lot on. It's more like storytelling, question mark, because that's most of the things that work currently on TikTok from my experience. Other things could just be, you just use gaming clips. That can also be a thing. But even if you just use gaming clips and not storytelling, although storytelling will probably add to your success, editing in itself is still a skill you need to have in order to do TikTok clips. Who would have thought? Either it be on the mobile app, TikTok in itself, which you can have with your mobile phone, which is a lot easier to use, or if you want to do more professional edits, which is the things that I do, which is TikTok edits for clips, or which is the thing my friend editor Moza does, which is TikTok editing for clips. He does all of it on PC and then uploads it from PC to his mobile phone, or to upload it on TikTok every single day. And trend research. This is, I think, a no-brainer. This is basically the market research of YouTube, where it's like, what is currently trending and what can I abuse? Because TikTok works differently with YouTube. YouTube is saturated often at times, where TikTok is not. TikTok loves to push out the same thing over and over again. So if you're one of those people who happen to be in a trend that is very good for you, you will most likely end up being there. Next thing is Twitter. And honestly, the only thing I have right there is be funny, I guess. There's not really a lot of skills you would need for Twitter. I don't think Twitter is a platform where skill is really involved. Your Twitter game is just you posting shit posts, and at some point it will work out. You know, like I really don't believe that there's a lot of skill in Twitter, unless I haven't seen it. The other one would be posting clips on Twitch, or like from Twitch or from YouTube, which again also don't really take that much skill that you haven't already learned here. So there's nothing really much to add. Everything you've learned from YouTube and Twitch can be transferred to Twitter or other platforms. Next thing is Instagram, and Instagram is a bit more of a different story, because on Instagram you have like stories where you can just post some random ass shit, which I don't really think needs skill per se, unless you really want to invest into it. I don't post on Instagram at all right now, but when I did, all I had to do was really edit videos, which took me like a couple minutes to make at best, which is just like adjusting the lighting and stuff like that, like brightness and contrast. Nothing really crazy. I don't really edit my Photoshop, like I don't really Photoshop my pictures or anything, like besides brightness and contrast, or like putting like a filter on it, because I like the way I look. I think I'm attractive, so this isn't really a thing where I need to, like, you know, fucking shave down on my side boob a little bit or get a little bit of bigger arms or stuff like that. I don't do any of that. So for me, editing takes like 2 minutes to make. Literally just get a filter on it and put it out. And posing, which is for a picture. I do believe that is a skill because models have to add that skill to it. I'm just not the best at it. So yeah. Discord, nothing. You need to know how to talk. Like I seriously don't believe you need any skill for TikTok besides, Discord, besides talking with your audience. I don't think that's hard. I don't think that's a skill. Same with emails, by the way. Same with emails, because all you do is literally answer people. You know, like, answering DMs isn't a skill. Like, it's really not. You just fucking talk. It's like the most basic human thing. Next thing would be sponsorships. And for sponsorships, what you would need is business skills. So, itself, just make a good deal. Know how to make a good deal overall. Which is, you know, subjective. What a good deal is in everybody's eyes. For me, I feel like business skills are very important when it comes to that. So you can, you know, because most of the time they will give you an initial value and you are able to get more out of it. And the last thing, which is brainstorming, which is right here, brain blast. That's how I like to call it. When I have a brain blast going, which is pretty much me and John sitting in a call and thinking of content ideas. And the other one is my favorite, the Yoink and Twist, where I take an idea and I make it my own. Now let's talk about the general skills that I think are important to have when doing all of these things. Literally all of these. And just things that you can apply in your daily life as well. Even if you're not a content creator, those are things you can pick up and probably be good at. And probably will help you in your life in the long term. Which are the following. Which are patience. So patience isn't like getting to learn all of these things one by one, as well as also being patient with when your quote-unquote blow-up comes, or your community growth, and a bunch of stuff like that. You have to unfortunately be patient. That is one of the general skills you need to learn. If you're impatient, you give up quickly, guess what happens? You're most likely not going to be successful, and most likely also not being able to keep up with the work schedule I have right here, which is 13.5 hours just on my own content, not including my other things in life. The correct mindset, this is very subjective, and I don't really think that, you know, I think everybody has a different thought pattern of how they think the correct mindset's supposed to be. For me, the correct mindset just means everything I mentioned before, which is like having the correct mindset about the approach of, like, you know, things like that. Being consistent, being patient, learning these skills one by one, having the mindset that you can do this and you can learn and you can adapt. The next thing is consistency, which is a skill that pretty much everybody in life can benefit from. Like, if you're consistent in life in what you do, and how you act and how you know, hold yourself up in a high standard, you know, that doesn't really hurt anybody. It's not bad, it's good for you. The other thing is social skills. I put a lull in there because a lot of streamers do not have social skills whatsoever outside of content creation. But social skills are basically mean just being able to talk to your audience and just being able to talk overall. Mental stamina. This one is, you know, this one basically just includes being able to go for long hours. This one is more like a Twitch related thing rather than a YouTube thing, because on YouTube you can just take breaks. On YouTube, I can just, you know, go out and eat something for 40 minutes. So you have to have a very, like, you know, big mental stamina in order to, you know, keep it up. Organization, this one is the skill that I have at least, which basically means just being organized with your shit, having like a schedule when you usually stream, having a schedule when usually YouTube uploads are, just being organized on when you do what, and being able to focus on it. I feel like that's a very important thing. And the last thing is planning skills, which is setting up dates and overall being able to set up things as in, you know, like overall skills, as in being able to set up a collaboration, being able to talk with people and setting up a plan of when you would do what, setting up the next big project that's coming up, setting up general things that are coming up. Very, very big skill. And I think overall this is basically the base skill set of what you would need in order to be like doing what I'm doing. Pretty sure you can do less if you just focus on one thing, which is like you could just, for example, focus on YouTube or for example focus on TikTok. I'm somebody who does variety shit and I like to focus on all social media platforms because that will get me the best results in the long term. Okay, now that we've talked about my visual chart and my skill set, and now let's talk about the summary and notes. Time of hours heavily vary on a couple of factors. Not everybody makes the same content, and this is just my personal take on how much I work overall. 13.5 hours a day, 94.5 hours a week. I work every single day. So I also want to mention that quality content is subjective when it comes to time involvement a video takes. A video that can take 10 hours easily can be overshadowed by a bomb idea that only takes 2 hours to make. So, for example, I would like to mention here, my Little Mac guides took about 10 to 12 hours to make, whereas other videos only took 2 hours to make. I do believe, though, that some of those videos that took a little bit less time were also better content sometimes, as in, if I laugh, the video ends. That shit was funny as fuck. If I swear, the video ends. How long did that take to make? Not that long, right? So, yeah. Question. Do these individual creators have editors? Answer, the bigger they are, the more money they make, the more likely it is, which can heavily influence daily hours and work structure. If I would not have editors, I would have to work 8 hours a day on YouTube at the bare minimum. Having to make the videos that I make, they take a very long time, especially the high quality videos, which are like the one that Loplos does, take about 4 to 6 hours to make every single day. So I'll be sitting on YouTube for 8 hours and my work hours right here would increase drastically from 4 hours a day to 17.5 hours a day, which would result in 100 something hours added to it. So I'm very, very grateful to have editors, but for my size, I have the money right now and the skill set where I can add it on top of editing it myself and having 2 more editors. I have 3 editors in total, and me included makes 4 editors for all of my social media platforms. So yeah, the bigger they are, the more money they make and the more likely it is to have an editor. If you're somebody who's a Twitch streamer, you're more likely to have editors because you just want to stream and push out the stream highlights. That is just a very, very common thing. Other people who do their content like Ordinary Things, Technicals, Link, all of them edit by themselves. I am pretty sure, because they do like very well documented videos and very long, very documented videos, and they make it like once a couple of months. If you want to upload daily and do Twitch and stream for long hours and do a bunch of other shit, you're most likely gonna end up having several editors for the most part. Most content creators who are at the mental level that I am, or like the growth spurt that I am, most likely have an editor or 2. Question, how much do they need to work in order to make a living? Heavily depends on subscribers, quality of content, how many hours they're willing to put in extra. Extra work is in sponsorship, brand deals, etc. This one heavily varies, and I do believe this one also depends on you, the community. Because if you're somebody who has like not a lot of viewers, like I know people who have like 20 viewers and they have like 500 subs, and they're able to technically make a living off of that in, you know, either a cheap apartment or they have roommates with themselves. They make a lot of money where they can afford to live by themselves or with other people and not with their family or something. So this heavily depends on the community and also how many views you get. You know, lowball, it's like 400, 500 subs when you can think about making a living besides any other side incomes. So, you know, like this, it depends also on how much money you spend. If you're somebody who spends a lot of money on content and improving your content, you're most likely gonna end up like with needing more cash. Question, is there a lot of money involved in creating content? Yes, even besides all the work mentioned, you also have to pay money towards editors, artists, animators, streaming gear. So for example, this light that I got, the green screen that's in the back, the mic I have right now to talk to you, the headsets, the chair, all these things cost money that were upgrades for streaming. So even besides just all the work you do, you also have to put in money towards editors, artists, animators, streaming gear. In order to have a good looking stream, unless you know all the skills yourself, very unlikely. So this one goes for everything but the streaming gear. I don't really think you're gonna be an engineer and make a mic yourself. I'll be very surprised, but I mean like being able to edit yourself, being able to have an art, being able to do art yourself. So like emotes, graphic design, thumbnails, and animating. Usually, I only have things for all of those. Like, I have editors, I have artists, I have animators. How important is it to be consistent? Very important. The more you do this, the better you get at it, and also more people you will attract over time. This is something that is more an answer towards YouTube than towards Twitch. I do believe being active on Twitch is very, very effective and very good. The problem with that is if you only do it on Twitch, you're gonna have a problem when it comes to numbers. You should be doing YouTube more and have YouTube be consistently, and also have just Twitch added to that, if that makes sense. In conclusion, the average full-time content creator works more than a regular 9-to-5 job. If you do the math, usually a 9-to-5 worker at a regular job works 5 times a week for 40 hours. Sometimes 45, depending on your work schedule, sometimes 35, depending on your work schedule. But roundabout, you're gonna end up with 40 hours. Like, low ball, you're gonna end up with roundabout 40 hours. In my case, just for content creation, it's like more than double that. So even if you take the 45 hours and you do it twice, you're still at 90. On the other hand though, which is the other big thing, content creators do have the possibility to also make a lot more money than your average 9-to-5 worker, due to social media having an insane / unlimited growth potential every single year. I don't think I have to really mention this. Social media and gaming in specific, especially during COVID, has been a very, very growing market. You know, due to this, you're also able to make a lot more money because you also do more things. But yeah, so in conclusion, and to wrap everything up, these are the hours that I work. These are the hours categorized that I work and what all the work entails, which are the activities. So on YouTube, I work 4 hours per day. On Twitch, I work also around about 4 hours per day on it. TikTok is an hour, then an hour on Discord. I just spend no time on Twitter and Instagram right now because I twit both of these platforms, which I made the twit longer on. Around about half an hour to check my emails. A bit exaggerated. Pretty much, bit exaggerated. And brainstorming, which is a fat amount, which is 3 hours, just coming up with ideas. So 13.5 hours a day, 94.5 hours a week, because I do not take days off. I pretty much try to work every single day. This is the skill set that you would need, and the summary notes. So in conclusion, content creators only play video games, and they make money off of it.